You're tuned in to Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk, live every weekday on the Nation Network YouTube.
Points in 7 straight for the Oilers. What's everyone all mad about? Let's get into it with the lead. We have a spot saved on the couch for our friend Frank Seravalli, who has promised us we can read his text messages with 3 NHL GMs live on the show.
Yeah,
huh?
That happened.
Huh? Welcome into Oilers Nation every day. This is the lead coming to you from the Sports Closet studio, sportscloset.ca. If you like the reverse retros, you can get your own, but I don't want to see the Oilers wearing them again.
It is.
Owen, they haven't won in the reverse retros. Liam, get in here. Put Liam on my screen.
It is. It's not just a coincidence anymore, Tyler. This is, quite frankly, a crime.
Yep.
The Oilers cannot keep doing this to us. We're on a 6-game heater and you wear those things. Do you know what's on the line, Edmonton Oilers? 7 wins in a row.
Embarrassing.
We're the only team, one of 2 teams to not have a 7-game win streak in the last 10 years, I think. Maybe
really?
20. Maybe 20, yeah. 2002 was the last time the Oilers won 7 games in a row.
Yeah, anyways, that was really annoying last night. We're going to get into it all, as always, streaming live from the Sports Closet studio on the Nation Network YouTube, where Dr. Gonzo was in with the first comment. Still on a 7-game point streak. Well within striking distance of first. Stoked for Frank. Yes, I need some spicy rumors and takes on Gretzky's birthday. Feels good, man. Light goal today.
99.
Happy birthday, Wayne.
Should I get the applause?
Sure. Happy birthday to this guy.
So
Wayne
handsome.
Gretzky turns 99 or something.
Yeah. People have asked us to remake that picture, actually. So maybe one day.
With me and you?
Well, it'll have
With
to
one
be
of us?
solo shots unless he has one with Mess. Then we'll figure it out. But
Yeah.
for now, is that like an ad or what is that picture? Just for fun?
You know what? I doubt it was just for fun. This doesn't seem like he's wearing Adidas shoes and holding skates, and he's wearing Adidas shorts. So I'm assuming it's an Adidas ad.
Nike ad, yeah. Adidas ad.
Adidas ad. All right, let's. God, that hockey game last night was annoying as hell. At least the chat. I like that. Maybe because we start the show at noon. Like if this was a morning show, I think people would be a little bit more pissed off. But you've had a couple hours to calm down. We're in a good mood because Jay just came in and said he's ordering the whole office oodle noodle.
Yeah, that was nice. I contemplated between the butter chicken mac and cheese because that is delicious, but I ultimately went with the Tokyo glaze. I don't go to oodle noodle often, but it is right at the top of my street, and every time I go, I stick with what I got. Stick with what I know, Tyler.
Why not?
It's that, but I went off your back today, so I'm sure it'll be awesome. So
we're going to get into our 3 big things brought to you by Montana's in a second. But first, I want to see what you're all saying in the chat. Austin says 7-1-2 in our last 10. But with that being said, very tough loss last night. Saturday's must win going into the break. Chris Walkling, losing sucks, but I've seen tweets and people acting like the sky is falling. Seems like an overreaction. Let's see how they play on Saturday. And I am really intrigued to see how this team responds on Saturday against the Hawks, because the Oilers have made a habit of losing to bad teams. Granted, Waz pointed this out on Twitter. He says, by his math, they're 8-3 against the bottom teams. Okay, that is still pretty good. Those losses are frustrating in the moment, but they do kind of happen to everyone throughout the season. The only downside is, again, the Oilers are in the middle of a really tough playoff race, and these are points we were counting on. Were we probably foolish to expect that they were going to go on this run of 13 games against weak teams and just go 13-0? Yeah, probably. And at the end of the day, they picked up a point. And if the Oilers win against Chicago, come out of the break, win a couple times, and they go 10-0-1 on this stretch, we're all going to be really happy. But in the moment, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Derek Ryan, Zach Hyman, the only ones to find the back of the net as well.
Yeah, I think you look at it, right? And it's obviously a disappointing loss. So you want to beat the team that's in last place. But at the end of the day, Columbus does, to their credit, have some ability to score goals. And Corpusalo played really well last night. He robbed Leon.
That save on Draisaitl. That's save of the year.
Yeah, they obviously scored not so long after too, so it kind of canceled each other out. But at the end of the day, they're not going to win every single game. They got a point and they played terribly. They were very flat. There wasn't a lot of. It didn't feel like there was a lot of energy out there, and it's just not a lot of there the first opening 10 minutes or so, you were kind of like, okay, Puljujarvi gets his chances. I think he had 2 good ones.
Yeah.
I think it was McDavid had a good one. You're like, all right, here we go. And then you kind of grow into a little bit more and not working as well. So, yeah, I think it is what it is. I'm trying to be optimistic about it. You got a point at the end of the day.
Yep. Rusty says, tough loss, but 7-2-2 in January. A win on Saturday puts us at 750 for the month. Yeah, 100%. Flute is in, says, I'm not surprised at all this happened. Just so Oilers. And he throws in a daily reminder to like the video. If you're watching on the Nation Network YouTube, hammer that like button. Our friend Tyler's in the chat. We have been calling him Tyler Mulick all season. We went to Montana's with him yesterday for our listener lunch, and he said, it's Mulick.
Mulick.
Tyler Mulick. He said like a cat, not a cow.
There's a cow called a
Moo. Yeah. But it's Mulick. Tyler Mulick is in and says, are Sam Lafferty and Jonathan Taves staying in town on Saturday? Huh? Oh, look at this. Aaron has the nice photo of all of us at Montana's, in which Frank said I look like a real skinny prick. Seems rude. Montana's was delicious.
It was. I had the all-you-could-eat ribs. You had the all-you-could-eat ribs.
Tyler Mulick had the all-you-can-eat ribs.
Adam had the all-you-could-eat ribs. What did Jay get?
The chicken sandwich.
Chicken sandwich.
That's a good time. Let's get into our 3 big things brought to you by, as you can see on the screen there, Montana's, where their comfort menu is out now. Jay had the chicken sandwich. Looked great. They also have daily deals, like all-you-can-eat ribs on Wednesday. Here's the comfort menu. Delicious. That mac and cheese looks good. That's probably calling my name one of these days.
I'm looking at that ice cream, too, the dessert in the bottom
Apple crisp?
Oh, yeah, that looks good. I can't on my screen, I can't see what it says, but it looks great.
Looks great. 3 big things brought to you by Montana's, montanas.ca to find a location near you. Number 1, I'm going to get this out of the way early. Why are we booing Johnny Gaudreau? Why do we give a shit?
I thought that was weird too. Yeah, who cares? He didn't play for the Oilers. I think we should have been applauding him.
Because he gave us a power play. Aaron, roll the tape. This was also weird that Johnny was this mad. Like, I don't even know what happened here. Johnny Gaudreau chooses now, game 49 of the regular season, when his team's in last, to play with physical bite.
Yeah.
Odd. Anyways, Oilers got a power play out of that. Johnny Gaudreau was an angry guy. Don't get it. I was going to make another joke there, but I'm not. So that's my first big thing is I don't understand why we were booing Johnny Gaudreau. That was weird. The cross-check was unnecessary, but whatever. Second is just so flat, Liam. Just so flat.
Yeah, it was a shame there was such a big gap between the game against, like, obviously Vancouver on Saturday to Wednesday. Like, I feel like this game was maybe even Tuesday that might have been a bit different, but like, there's only so many days you can practice, right? They definitely lost a bit of mojo from that streak, but they played poor and they got a point. So be optimistic about that at least. Still gain traction in the standings.
Yeah, they couldn't complete 2 passes in a row. Draisaitl was brutal in his own end last night. There was a ton of really, really bad turnovers in that one. It didn't make sense. Daniel Nugent-Bowman saying it hasn't been a banner night for Leon Draisaitl. He was frustrated. I know Ryan Rishaug pointed out one shift where Draisaitl just got on the ice. The Oilers went offside. And after a 20-second shift, he went right off. Didn't even look to see if Woodcroft was sending a new line over. He went off. And like when McDavid has less off nights than Draisaitl, to be clear. But when he does, he'll still have a rush or 2, right? Like he'll have something. He'll still skate hard. When Draisaitl isn't feeling it, I don't know. I'm not going to pile on the guy because it's one game and he's a top 5 player in the NHL and he's been great this season, second in the league in scoring. But it's just like, when things are going bad for Draisaitl and it's apparent. And I think the issue, just to finish my thought, the issues in his game were the issues for the whole team. Couldn't make a pass, sloppy in their own end, looked disjointed coming in over the rush offensively.
Yeah, and I mean, if he had scored that goal, right, they got robbed on, we might be talking about it a bit differently today and maybe able to capitalize on something. But yeah, like, it's just very different, right? Because McDavid is always full of energy and flying, and sometimes Draisaitl just has that, like, slower style to his game, so maybe that's what makes it a bit more apparent. But yeah, like, this guy performs like 75% of the 75%, probably 95% of the time. So I'm not too concerned about Draisaitl. Happens coming back from that injury still a little bit. Who knows if that's lingering on him a bit. So I think we'll see a better Edmonton Oilers performance on Saturday against the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, Hawks rolling into town on the weekend. So my second big thing, like, big guns didn't really have it. They looked flat. You'd love to see McDavid and Draisaitl just win that game in overtime, and we're sitting here today laughing, right? That's life, I suppose. You lose to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Stuff happens.
I had a question about the overtime goal. I don't know if we have that, Aaron. If we don't, it's okay. Did you think there was a pick? If you watch it, and I didn't notice this live, but I watched the replay, and Johnny Gaudreau somewhat throws a bit of a pick on Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, which gave Kent Johnson a bit more space. Kent Johnson did dummy him a little bit, but there was definitely a collision in center ice there. In the center of the slot, whatever it's called. And yeah, I don't know. It would have been a tough one, I guess, to call, but I'm not questioning it. I don't think the others deserved all the 2 points, but I don't know. It was something I noticed in the game. If you saw that in the chat too, let us know, because I'm curious. And maybe I'm just out for lunch.
Yeah. I don't know. I think in 3-on-3 OT, there's also a lot of that stuff, right? Like, it's such a possession game. I didn't love the way the Oilers played that overtime at all. I thought a couple of the shots they took, like, for me, 3-on-3 overtime is not when you throw pucks on net. When you shoot, you better have like a yawning cage. I think it's one of those situations where you try to pass that puck into the net, or you only shoot if you have a clear-cut grade A chance. And the Oilers weren't doing that, and then they gave up possession. So I just would have, again, rather seen them take a bit of a different approach there. But the big guns were off. That's the overwhelming kind of point here. Number 3 is I'm going to do my best to pull some positives. Derek Ryan, Alberta Golden Bear.
Yep.
Finds the back of the net. This guy's up to 7 goals on the season. He scored all 7 of his goals at home as well. The former U of A Golden Bears, Bob Stauffer says, 7th of the season. Noah Philp, former Golden Bear, scored his 7th of the season for the Condors. I like it. You know I'm a University of Alberta kind of guy, play-by-play voice of the Golden Bears. So it was nice seeing Derek Ryan score. He's been quietly effective this year. Gives them the right shot center, kills penalties, and chips in with some offense.
Yeah, I like Derek Ryan. I think it's been... obviously, there was some talk about him going on waivers and stuff like that at some points in the year, and I get it. Look at him; he's a veteran player, right? But he contributes to this team, and he's got a little bit of flair to him as well. Like, saw that goal there; it's a good finish.
Yep.
How many times have we seen Warren Fogle go 1-on-1 and miss a net?
If Warren Fogle could score on breakaways, he'd be an $8 million player.
Yeah. So yeah, I like Derek Ryan. I guess. Much like Derek Ryan. My side of things, you're a U of A guy. I'm an AJHL guy. Dylan Holloway and Nick Blankenberg were Okotoks Oilers teammates, and they played against each other for the first time last night. So shout out to those two guys too.
There you go. The other positive I'm going to pull is Philip Broberg was their best defenseman last night.
Yeah, he had a good game.
You don't have to agree with it, but it's facts. Straight facts. Philip Broberg, when he was on the ice at 5-on-5 in that hockey game, the shots were 10-1 for the Edmonton Oilers. And you're going, well, he probably started all his shifts in the offensive zone. He had 17 shifts at 5-on-5 in that hockey game, Liam. One of them in the offensive zone, one in the defensive zone, one in the neutral zone. 14 shifts started on the fly for Philip Broberg. That is a wildly impressive night from a relatively inexperienced defenseman. He helped out on the PK, played over a minute and a half shorthanded. Guess how many shot attempts the Blue Jackets had when that guy was on the ice? One.
That was close.
You thought 0.
Or 3.
You left your say open for interpretation. Why not? Philip Broberg had a monster game last night. And we're going to talk to Frank a little bit about this because we've hit on it throughout the week. I think he might be changing their deadline plans.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly gaining trust with the coaches now, and maybe this is what they knew all along, and we were just kind of waiting to see what happened, right? So I believe in Philip Broberg. I think he, like you said, he had a good game last night. It's been like a few weeks now where he's been, even when they were when they were losing games, I thought he was still playing well. So it's a credit to see why he's come now.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to get to Frank Seravalli in just a second here. Actually, no, I think he's ready to go. That's our 3 big things brought to you by Montanas.ca. Frank Seravalli's appearance is brought to you by Star Mechanical, one of the top new home plumbing installers in Edmonton, the #1 plumbing and heating company in Edmonton. If you need emergencies, 780. You can see it on the side of the truck, 780-481-8873, starmechanical.ca. Experienced and qualified crews. As Frank Seravalli snuggles into the Sports Closet studio to talk a little trade deadline. First off, how you enjoying Edmonton?
Love being in the YEG.
Did you get your oodle noodle order in?
No, I didn't. No. We're going down to the rink. We've got important business.
Are we allowed to say what we're doing?
I think we can.
Uh-oh.
Frank and I are heading down to the arena to have a one-on-one with Zach Hyman.
Yeah, it's the new Frankly Speaking show that we launched on Wednesday. If you haven't seen it, check it out wherever you get your podcasts. First interview was with former Oilers coach Todd McClellan. And now Zach Hyman is next up. So looking forward to talking to a really smart and engaging guy who's got lots of off-ice interests.
There you go. Todd McClellan, Zach Hyman, first 2 episodes of Frankly Speaking every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts from. Oilers fans, I mean, certainly not pleased with the way things went last night, Frank, but I mean, losses happen. Like, is that one you're sitting there?
I think one of the big look at the Oilers and their advantage over the rest of the pack. As far as the schedule, the Oilers and the Kraken had the bottom 10 of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And so
is his play potentially going to change their deadline approach?
Well, I don't know if it'll change it, but it's something that I can say confidently that it's hard to juggle that when you know that you have the rest of your core that's ready to. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl can single-handedly get you most of the way there.
They basically, they got you to the Final Four.
I said most of the way there. So they can get you most of the way there, but you need other pieces to get you over the top. And so that's where this sort of juggling act comes in, and I think that's tough to wrangle, tough to wrestle with.
Interesting stuff. I know we had some stream issues there, but we're back up to 100% according to YouTube. If you missed that, while the stream was cutting in and out, Frank actually broke 3 trades the Oilers have already made and are just waiting to announce. So apologies for missing out on that. Liam had a question for you.
Why does Pat Bavik keep coming to Edmonton Oilers games? What does he want?
Does he just like Edmonton?
Yeah.
Does he like McDavid?
I actually don't know the answer. I didn't even know that he's been coming to Oilers.
He's been to 3 this year.
He came last week.
He was here the other week.
So Pat Verbeek is I'll say this. I don't know the answer, but he is a classic scout, grinder, rink rat. And it's actually, I've been really curious to see how his transition to GM would be, because he's so used to being in the rink and going and doing that. I was wondering how he would handle the rest of the job, which is being around your team a lot, making decisions, sort of managing the group. And there's been less of that and more scouting, which I think has been important. That said, I wonder, Cam Fowler
to the Oilers.
His no trade list, you'd imagine, is
it's small. I believe it's 4 teams. But that's the only guy that I can sort of piece together at the moment that makes any sort of sense. I just don't think, from the conversations that I've had with people around the Ducks, that they're not actively shopping Cam Fowler, but I think if the right deal came along, they'd be interested. And I think what really makes sense is the term, right? Like, I think it's a reasonable cap hit. Some people might argue and say Cam Fowler is, if he's not past his expiration date, then he might be soon. I think he's got plenty of game left. And I also think about the heavy lifting that he's done on that Anaheim Ducks team, which basically has 3 bona fide defensemen that are NHL caliber players, and then a bunch of filler pieces.
So is he going to other NHL teams, do you know, or is it just...
I'm sure he is. Yeah, I haven't kept tabs on his schedule, but it's just been interesting that you've noted him here a few times.
It's been 4 times now, I think.
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
He was twice on the road earlier than he was at that game the other day. I want to take this time, because we've talked about a lot of D-men the Oilers could target, and I feel like there are some misconceptions about certain players on the market. People hear Vlad Gavrikov and they go, whoa, big Russian. He's probably mean and super physical and all this. He's not a physical D-man, right? Like,
so
give us the report.
This opportunity to shit on all the other defensemen. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying, like, we see people in the chat, or yesterday the big thing was Dumba, but we can touch on him in a bit. But like Vlad Gavrikov, what is he as a defenseman, and is he a fit for the Oilers in your eyes?
So he's a simple defender, is what I would say Vlad Gavrikov is, on a true Stanley Cup contending roster. Like, think back to the Lightning a few years ago. He's fulfilling that spot that David Savard was in. 3rd pair guy, steady, playing 14 to 17 minutes a night. On a team that's more thin on their blue line, he's probably a 2nd pair guy. Ideally, you'd like to get him in that 3rd spot. He's not physical. He's 9th on his team in hits and 274th in the league in hits. And you could say, oh, well, the hits counts, they vary arena to arena. Not that much.
No.
Not to the point where you're tied with Sidney Crosby in terms of hits thrown. So not physical, and he's very simple. He's not going to wow you in any sort of aspect of his game. I did a full breakdown. I've watched every shift that he's played this season on dailyfaceoff.com as part of our Deadline Countdown series. Gavrikov was a few days ago, but he's someone that I think is a valuable addition that could make your team better. But I also don't know that I'd be running out to re-sign him either, because I think the team that you hear the asking price is somewhere in the $5 million range on an AAV. Like, that's a pretty expensive addition if you're going to try and extend him. So it's going to be expensive to get him, and then it's going to cost something. So it's going to be expensive to get him, and then it's going to cost something else to extend him. So unless you're just keeping him for the playoff run, then maybe that's a different story.
Interesting.
Do you think teams wanting more picks or prospects? We were kind of talking about this on Oilers Nation Radio.
In terms of the rental market?
Depends on who you are.
Well, the thing, like last year, Peyton Krebs was like the biggest prospect move, but
that was early in the Eichel deal. That was even a deadline move.
What was the guy's name in the Boston deal?
Urho Vakanainen?
Yeah, but like people are
Vakanainen.
talking about like Broberg has to go, Holloway has to go. Like, it just doesn't seem like if the Oilers want to go out and get a big name, they have to give up that much.
I think they can do their shopping.
Yeah, I don't think they would.
I would say if you were to take the players that they're interested in moving, like Holloway and Broberg would be at the bottom of the list. I ranked them in order, I believe, in my Oilers deadline playbook that was also on Daily Faceoff earlier this week. I think Xavier Bourgault is someone that I think they'd move in the right deal. But I think the guys that they have that are NHL ready, that's who they'd like to keep.
Yeah, and I also think that if you want to, obviously we want the Oilers to go all in and spend the picks, do all this, load up this year's team, but there is a part of Holland that has to keep an eye on the future, and having Holloways and Brobergs and Bourgaults.
He's conservative by nature. I mean, everyone's seen that so far in Edmonton. He's not rushing out to move those players.
And you need to be a consistent cup contender, a team that can consistently go deep. You need guys who can contribute on their ELCs or second contracts, and you don't get a chance to see what Holloway and Broberg and Bourgault can do on their second contracts if you're just burning them at every deadline and throwing them out the door.
And to be fair, they really haven't, right? They've actually been pretty good about that. Maybe outside of the expenditure for Athanasiou.
Yeah.
And that was Ken Holland's first deadline with the Oilers.
Yeah.
But then who also saw the pandemic coming? Like, I don't know that it's fair to even hammer him on that, because did we see a 7-month break coming? Like, you didn't even get the rest of the regular season with him, really. And then you're right into the bubble, 5 games out of the chute, and you're out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's unfair to judge any general manager around that time. Like, the season was completely off. Like, how can you judge it? Yeah.
And then you lose 2 seconds for that. And that hurts.
I think for people to say that Ken Holland won't be active, like, he's literally made a move at every deadline he's been with the Oilers. Like, he's going to try and improve this team. I feel like that's very obvious.
Yeah, I think the question is how big.
Yeah.
How big of a swing does he take? And honestly, I can tell you that the Oilers being at their pro scouting meetings in Vegas this week, that's what they're debating internally. It's like setting their list of, here are the targets that we have. And I think the truth is they're really interested in some peripheral moves that they think might help put their team over the top. The penalty killer in a Sam Lafferty, or the guy that has some physical edge and could, can skate a bit in Zach McEwen in Philly. Like, they've got a list of guys. They've got the sort of expensive, high-priced toys. They've got the lower-end guys, and they're trying to figure out what kind of balance they want to strike.
We do have to start wrapping this up here in just a second. Damn it, I had another one, and now it just totally slipped my mind.
I got a quick one.
Okay, hit him.
I've been on Max Domi. I think Max Domi is a guy that would fit the Oilers well. But there's people saying he's not going to leave Chicago because he likes Luke Richardson. Do you think does that matter? Like, is Chicago just going to, like, he's an asset, he could just re-sign there? And
I don't think Chicago is going to reshape their deadline plans based on Max Domi's wishes. And that's not to say they don't like Max Domi. It's just that they've got a higher calling here, and that their priority is to go out and recoup as many assets as possible. Domi and Athanasiou were signed specifically for this exact moment, to be deadline flips, much in the same way that John Klingberg was in Anaheim. So does he like it there? Yeah,